Perhaps you have heard the law of the Sabbath, for today is Pentecost, and it is the Sabbath. And the law of the Sabbath be that upon the Sabbath ye are to bear no load, because today is a holy day of love, rejoicing and thankfulness unto God. Therefore, I must ask you, is there an emotional, spiritual, or work-related load that you are bearing here upon this Sabbath? For you are to surrender it unto the will of the Lord, placing it in His hands for this day, every Sabbath day. Rather, letting the holy presence of the Spirit come and fill you up with the fullness of the measure of the joy of the Messiah's peace. And the truth that you are blessed and chosen by God. Now, when a man or a woman enters into the house of the Lord, the water of the Messiah's peace washes over them. In a similar manner, out of genuine love for their children, a father and mother begin to walk in a way that will lead their children unto the washing, in order to develop a love within their children, a love that is the example of what their children are to live by as they begin to be taught the components of the Messiah's peace. Now, there in the garden, you can see the little shrub growing day after day, reaching upwards out of love of the sun. As the bread helps it grow, the water gives it life, and the gardener tends unto it daily. For when you love something, that is what you do. And this is the perfect wisdom of the true wheat, a thing far more precious than gold or silver, for it is life itself. One side of the coin is love, yet the other side is hatred. So, understanding that I speak of the foundation of all creation as well as God and heaven is important. For the book speaks of two kingdoms, the kingdom of heaven and the kingdom of God, water and bread. Now, one cannot exist without the other, but the other did exist without the one. Therefore, it is important to understand that the grand architect placed the root of love at the center of all things that endure. On account of this, truly I tell you, if you take one thing away from my word today, know that love is worth her weight in rubies. She cannot be bought nor bartered for, because she is more precious than your own life. For without love, plainly I tell you, you will have no life within you. She is a thing which all the nations of all the earth seek after, to merely attempt the perfecting of love, laying down their own lives in the hopes of finding true love, that they might bear hold of love for even just a moment. Therefore I ask you, if this is the value unto which mankind hath valued love, how much greater then is the love of God for his children? For you can see the love of the Father overflowing throughout all creation, chasing after each of you, calling his beloved children home, back where you belong, back unto the perfection of love, unto that place you were chosen and sealed for, back unto that place where you are going. And this is the value at which God himself hath valued each of you. For he has already measured you, and after measuring you for some time, looking upon faults and all, God chose you and called you out by name, inviting you home. Now water floweth throughout all living things, and it is stirred about howsoever the gardener sees fit, taking shape in numberless forms. The gifts, grace, mercy, and the blessings upon blessings, as he teaches us the ways by which we are to walk, by pouring forth the signs and wonders as life-giving water, so that ye might believe, and also to adorn his holy servants with a mantle of royalty. For what is it that makes us holy but God alone? And so I call you into the state of remembrance that you are the sons and daughters of the Most High King. Thereby God hath declared each of you Christian royalty, chosen and exalted above all life. No kingdom that stands before God is high or lofty. No, they are low and humble, bowing before the robe of glory which the Christ himself now wears. For as the voice poureth out the water, nothing in all creation can stop its flow. For the will is sovereign over all things, leveling the mountains as he sees fit, breaking the chains of the lost causes and setting them free, the lost causes which mankind hath abandoned long ago. For he is the defender of the weak, and in his wake all mankind prays for the revelation of his voice, as the eyes open wide and the stories are no longer stories. For the revelation of the Christ approacheth you to give life, and lead his children home, the place where they are called unto. And this is the water manifesting howsoever he chooses. The tongues, the discerning that which is indiscernible, or perhaps the gift of an unshakable faith, which allows the holder to shift the mountains how he sees fit. For with God all things are possible. The healing of the ailments, revelations, and the myriad gifts of God unto his beloved children. Yet the greatest of these gifts is prophecy, which by this year's end you will once see again, for the trump shall resound. As the Father walks with his children, glory rains down from out of the heavens, to then be returned unto the only one who is worthy of glory. Hear my sound, ye seekers of life, and listen well, for I am hidden just out of sight, calling out unto all. On account of this, just as the daylight beams down upon us, giving warmth freely, as it has been instructed, daylight is yielding unto its maker's design, seeking as it has been instructed to seek, and traveling as it has been instructed to travel. And although it may not understand why, the daylight merely obeys, as a blessing unto all, so that the welling up of the light begins to take its rightful place, to then overflow and abound as it begins to testify unto all life regarding the perfected love which did manifest, which we have seen and do testify unto, testifying unto the perfect love and wisdom of God and his ways. Now, in a similar way, the foundation of a city of light is not visible unto all, and yet any man or woman can see as they pass through a city the difference between a city of the light and a city of the darkness. Yet that which upholds every city is hidden. However, in just a few hours, a man can discern a city of light from the other cities, saying, "This is a city of the great King. Blessed be thy dwelling place." As the crops of the harvest begin to abound, and the rain comes down in the proper seasons, and their trees are decorated with the choicest fruits, they will bless you in your comings, and they will bless you in your goings, as all creation comes flocking unto the cities of light, which you have built and established, just as it is written. Now, bread is good to eat, for within the bread is the sustenance necessary unto life. For eating the bread quickens and strengthens each of us according to its design, guiding you into the alignment which is pleasing and in conformity unto the wheat farmer. And shared bread is also very good, for iron sharpens iron, aided by the breath. For these are the helpers of Israel, in the hopes that ye be led and come into alignment, that you might begin to see the foundation, and glean the wisdom, to thereby become sealed for the harvest. And they are always going about working all things unto the counsel of their own will, and watching over their beloved sheep. For where you hear the pattering of little feet, there behind them is their parents, who out of love watch over them. He withdraweth not his eyes from the righteous, but with kings are they on the throne. Yea, he doeth establish them forever, and they are exalted. Now, in the beginning, while love is distant or separated from that which it loves, love might be hidden, much like the foundation of a city of light is hidden. However, when these two join together in perfect union, indeed they might be made manifest and become plainly visible unto the world. For such is the power of the voice which all creation hath knowledge of. Now, at the lower altitudes, you may not always be able to discern the breath. No, sometimes first you need to seek higher up unto where the breath is pure. Then the breath might be revealed unto whomsoever she so chooses. Now, the pure air at the high altitudes upon the breath will greatly widen the drowsy eyes, as it enriches all life. And the knowing that you have the breath with you and within your lungs should give you a genuine sense of the Messiah's peace and love. And this is the truth of the almighty presence of God, which calleth out unto all creation, saying, My beloved, eat and drink. For those who eat the bread and drink the blood, the breath shall anoint, so that the water welleth up within them into an overflowing wellspring of life and life everlasting. Sealed and immortal, O ye little ones, you cannot die. And there ascended into the vault of the waters of the sky, they shall dwell forever, for God is love. Love, bread, and breath, and these three are one. For God is spirit, therefore he must be worshipped in both spirit and truth. And wisdom is vindicated by her works. Now, you should know that when someone builds something more precious unto them than gold, they will not surrender it, not for all the kingdoms of all the earth. Just as the Christ King would not surrender even one of you, not for all the kingdoms of all the earth, not even to save his own life, but rather, out of love, he went unto his death for each of you. I cried out to the Lord in my time of need, and he rescued me. For at that time his sheep were calling out, as today they are also calling out. And who is there among you men, when one of your beloved sheep falls down on the Sabbath, going up the mountainside, will not go and embrace them, lifting them up? Greater love hath no man than this, to lay down his life for those he loves. And this is the reckless love of the Christ, which he hath given unto all the world as an example of the love of God himself. Therefore, as the vessels of the God of love, you also are to love, not allowing the mere imperfection of words or a mild discomfort of conversation with a new person to hold you back from giving and displaying the love of God unto the world. For you are commanded to let your light shine before others, so that they might see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven, so that they also might find the joy of the Lord and the way unto the truth and the life. also that you are commanded to love God's voice. So when you hear it, you are to summon all your courage and do as he has instructed, a thing not always easy to do. Therefore, let all feelings of insecurity, nerves, wantonness, and lack fade away, so that you might focus upon that which builds, the love and the edification. For while simple kind words of edification are nothing, they are also everything. You are his beloved ewe lambs, white and precious in the eyes of God. A flower hidden behind a sea of thorn bushes goes unnoticed by all mankind, and yet God saw you and noticed you, and he called you out by name, valuing you above all things, so that the love of God for you be made known. You are blessed when you lay down to sleep, blessed when you dream, and blessed while you wake. To know this and take this with you is the true drink. For those who drink the water I give them shall never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water welling up into life eternal. Now, that welling up of pure radiant light dwells within each of you, and is a wellspring. And a true wellspring floweth forth, being of the source. It must become practiced, so that it might begin to overflow out of the abundance of the living water welled up within it. For a true wellspring overflows in an abundance of light and water. For love hoarded dwindles, yet love given grows. Alas, these words belong to Sir John Templeton. Now, as you have heard from the beginning, the things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. And for a short time here, the things of the earth will try and diminish the light which is within you. And at that moment when something tries to cast a shadow into your light, remember that the darkness does not overcome the light. Therefore, do not allow the darkness to enter into thy temple, to thereby diminish thy own light. Instead, release it, let it go, and forgive the offender, so that your light might continue to shine in all the abundance of God's wonder. And just because the body of Christ is very forgiving does not mean that we always forget. Know also and hold unto that God's thoughts are higher and his ways are higher. So value his opinions above the opinions of mankind, who are fading away. And at all times be the light. Do not hide your light from the world under a bushel, but rather let your light shine in the presence of mankind, knowing that what flows forth from that wellspring of light which God hath placed within you can defile you. Therefore, do not let the muddy debris of the earth reside within you. Rather, hold fast unto God's ways and the awesome light that he has placed and gifted unto you. For while a wellspring here is just plain water, a wellspring of light welleth up the light unto light everlasting. Now, building light everlasting may take time, so trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and do not lean on your own understandings. In all your ways submit unto him, and he will make your path straight. You are good enough, blessed and loved. God did not need Moses to be a perfect man. He just needed Moses to be Moses. Walk with me, and I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you, and I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing, and I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all the peoples of the earth will be blessed through you. On account of this, you are the salt of the earth. a sweet savour pleasing unto God, a nation of blessings gifted down from out of heaven, out of thy Father's love and grace, a blessing that draws forth the taste and life. As day after day his mercies are made new, as he walks along with you, guiding your steps unto the top of Mount Zion, as he calls his beloved children home. Now when Jesus said, "You are the salt of the earth," he was not talking to everyone, but only you, his elect few. For many are called, but few are chosen. Therefore, no longer are you common. No, you are rarer than diamonds. And this is why that merchant goes out day and night seeking his precious pearls, unto the point that the hairs upon thy head are numbered. Therefore, you should know that when someone builds something precious to them, they know the rough places of strength, and even the places of weakness. And knowing this, should begin to solidify the power of the revelation of faith within you. Because you know that God has chosen you with all your faults and failings, he is still with you. This faith is a mighty gift unto those who have received it from God. For out of love Abraham believed God, trusted in him, held unto faith, only to then have this low and humble man walk and keep walking, seek and grow in the manner that God instructs each of us also to do. And this lowly sheep owner was led from being a sheep owner into the forefather of the nation of all of Israel. You do not know the greatness of God's plans for you. And remember, it was God himself who saved the best wine for last. Faith can move the mountains. Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. They will be like a tree planted by the water, that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when the heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worry in a year of drought, and it never fails to bear fruit. You see, God loved his friend Abraham, and love is a very powerful thing. Now, to love, you have to let your guard down in order to really get to know another person, allowing oneself to be vulnerable. And this vulnerability often acts as enough of a deterrent to block a lot of blessings from people's lives. Therefore, place your trust in the opinion of God and stop worrying about all the pomp and the opinions of mankind, only to then start living and walking in the love of God and his love for each of you, knowing that his thoughts are higher and his ways are higher. Now, it was said from that which is from the beginning, why look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye, and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? On account of this, every Christian ought bring a mirror, for with a mirror you can look upon that which is within thy own eye easier. However, all the while when you stand before the mirror, you are to know fully that you were made perfect, made in the image of God. Therefore, become like the mustard tree. For who is there among you men that looks upon a growing mustard tree and says, that mustard tree is not fit? For the mustard tree is growing as the Lord designed it to grow, a small seed at first, yet over time it becomes a great tree. And while it is still but a seed, that seed lacks nothing, nor does it lack anything when it is budding or flowering. No, it is growing as God designed the mustard tree to grow, perfect as a seed and perfect as a tree. Now, as the mustard tree grows, the tree itself may discern that it is not as tall as it wants in some areas. Therefore, the tree will seek the sun's guidance, and it might stretch out its roots to grow in those areas. And yet, all the while, it is still perfect, just as God designed it. And it continues to grow upward powerfully within the grace and the mercy of the Messiah's peace. Now, building an altar unto God takes time. But when you stay focused upon God and what God is doing in your life, not allowing negative thoughts to enter in as you look upon thy mirror, nor blame or worry, building gets a lot easier and goes a lot faster. Now, as with all the other forms of negativity, they slow down your life. And blame is one of these forms. It is a poison that sometimes boils up from out of the heart, only to poison the fields of your own life, as well as the inner chambers of thy temple. Therefore, so that you have enough to abound and help others, stay focused upon yourself, for then you will have enough and see clearly enough to help thy brothers and sisters. For while you can teach a man to fish, only he himself can choose to fish or to remain idle. Now, blame grows from a lack of forgiveness, and sometimes in life people might have broken down your mirror, or perhaps they stepped or are stepping outside the covenant of Christ, and this creates long-standing scars or baggage. And all the while a man or woman stand clothed and weighed down by this state of unforgiveness, blame, and baggage, it is not the offender who is being slowed down by the baggage, but only the person who is still choosing to carry the weight of the baggage out of their own free will. On account of this, you are to release so that you are released. Let go and forgive those who have trespassed and sinned against you, not for their sake, but for your own sake, that you might be free of it forever. For if you are forgiving towards mankind and their trespasses against you, God will also be forgiving towards you. But if you are not forgiving towards mankind and their trespasses, neither will God be forgiving towards you. Now, God hath chosen you out of all the nations of all the earth to be his treasured possession, and this should also put a level of confidence within you. Now, confidence is not always high or lofty. No, sometimes confidence is low, steadfast, and powerful. A lion at peace is still a lion. So when the opinions of mankind come a mocking or tempting you to stray off the course of the focus of your life, know that every time you overcome it and cast out the negativity from your mind, you are letting them have the negativity and the hatred, while you yourselves hold fast unto the victory. And while a mocker may believe he has won in his own eyes, it is not the mocker whom you see thriving in the abundance of the Lord. So do not let them offset even your mood. For the king or queen who trusts in the unshakable love of the Lord will never be shaken. Focus thy eye upon the eye of providence, and watch as Providence himself raises you up, making your enemies as a footstool for thy feet. And know that when you hear that soft whisper, you are commanded to obey it, knowing that I am come with a sword to divide. And while Christians are loving, patient, kind and compassionate people, if the salt hath lost its saltiness, after about the time of a winter wheat harvest, how can its salt be restored? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled down. So hear ye and listen unto the parable of the plain of salt. There was once a wise man who built his house upon a great plain of salt. And although he invited many others unto his house, they would not come. Therefore, the man decided to keep building his own house until it had become a great and marvelous altar in the eyes of the Lord. And after some time, about once a week, the man would open his house to guide those who had the wisdom to step onto the plain of salt. And the wise man's house grew and grew, yielding crops 30, 60, and some 100-fold. At that time, the people came following in the man's footsteps, and they also began to see the wisdom of building upon the plain of salt. And so, in like manner, they also began to build upon the plain of salt, unto the point that they became a great multitude, moving like lightning, to such an extent that when one of them found something covered in salt, they bought it. For the salt of the earth is rarer and more precious than diamonds. Therefore, know you have an anointing and a calling placed on your life that none other has. God is not human that he might err in choosing you. No, you have been anointed by the Holy Spirit, chosen as a sacred offering unto God. Your life is not your own. Your thoughts are no longer your own, to allow them to tear down God's holy temple. No, your thoughts belong to God and are meant to glorify God. When Jesus said, "You are the salt of the earth," again, he was not talking about everyone, but only you. Now, salt is very good, and good is all that it takes to save a nation. For remember Esther, simple and kind. The Bible does not say that Esther was the smartest or the most well-suited to be chosen by the king, nor does the Bible say that about almost any of the prophets. And yet, God had already given Esther all that she needed to face down the challenges in her life and save her people. Esther held a hidden kindness within, as well as a genuine care for other people above herself. And so, at risk unto her own life, she went unto her husband and spoke as God had already prepared her to speak, only to then, by words, save her people from death. Therefore, remember that a Christian woman is worth her weight in rubies. And while Adam was made from the mud of the earth, it was the woman who was made from the rib of man, made from the creation of God. Blessed are the makers of all life, for she is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. So then know that the God of Esther goes with you. Words and life-giving words, healing in the breath. The healing gift is rare indeed, for it is not of this world. For in order to heal, you have to freely give the life-giving words, to keep speaking the good, loving word, in order to display the love of God unto someone who probably has never experienced it. To edify, encourage, and build up rather than anything else. To know when to let someone who is hurting walk upon you, so that ye might have the opportunity to heal them. When they give hatred, we give love. Alas, these words belong to Mother Teresa. Therefore, learn and be taught by God that as He is love, you are to remain rooted, built, and established in love, through love, and for God is love. It is to be your first thought in the morning, and the priority unto which you hold, so that thy words become saturated at all times with love, and know that the words upon thy lips are as precious as the life in your lungs. For my disciples will love them as I have loved them. Now, the Messiah's peace is a very powerful gift. For in order for the Christ to accomplish the marvelous things which we see today, he needed to hold to a level of peace and faith necessary to face down his own death, knowing that he is immortal and cannot die. Therefore, as with the Christ, you also are to know that you are chosen and immortal, to thereby face down your own death and not to turn back, to begin to release the part of you that is the past, knowing that with God you are no longer the past, but you are your future glory with God. For God does not raise up his children without purpose. You are the light of the world, that city atop the mountain that cannot be hidden. For the blessings, gifts, and revelations of God have come down from heaven to rest within your own heads, to then flow forth through each of you unto the point that through you all the nations of all the earth are blessed by your light and the light that dwells within you. You are blessed for your eyes see what others cannot see. You are blessed for your ears hear what others cannot hear. Blessed are thy feet, for they have been washed by the blood of the Christ. And blessed are you for the life that dwells within you. For you have walked out of death into life, and life everlasting. Now, since you are the light of the world, you are no longer of the earth. No, you are of the sun. Therefore, live as the light of the world, blocking out all the varying kinds of darkness of the world, the negative thoughts and the negative feelings, the blame and discontentment, bitterness and all fear, so that you might create within the abundant hollowed room necessary to store up that which is good, uplifting, and positive, the ways of the Most High King. Love, joy, peace, knowing that you are enough, and know that God is fighting with you and for you. The emotions, thoughts, and feelings that will help you build the life of your dreams rather than those which hold you back and slow you down. For you are the love of God made manifest unto the world, so that you might live as beacons of hope unto the world. And a beacon of light lives, speaks, and acts in conformity with the light. It does not allow itself to behold the darkness. No, a beacon of light pierces through the darkness, so that it might give light, to thereby serve and magnify the light. Now, these are just a few of the many blessings of the Lord, unto which I have seen, proclaim, and do testify. Blessings which the Father gives unto his beloved children, so that they know he is with them, walking in the abounding grace, and leading them back unto that place where they are from, that they might dwell with him forever. Therefore, rejoice in the Lord, as he is also going about rejoicing in you.